What should you do if you encounter a skilled mistress? This is a question I have been pondering for more than 3 months. She is my husband's classmate from his management course, beautiful, educated, and with her own secure career. Given her qualities, she could shine on her own without relying on anyone else. Unfortunately, she has chosen the shortcut route. In fact, from the very beginning, we could have a harmonious life, but she intends to exploit my husband's resources. If she stays clear of my core interests, I wouldn't want to escalate the situation. However, I've recently realized that my husband meant to divorce me, which is something that I simply cannot stand for. Girls, do not quickly judge me by the traditional first wife beliefs. Don't tell me that if a man cheats, just kick him out and it's over. The thing is, my husband isn't the type of man I can just walk away from. He is a cash cow and I am not willing to let him go. In the world, there are 2 types of wealthy people. One type appears on the Forbes billionaire list, openly showcasing immense wealth. The other type doesn't seek public attention, but has the ability to mobilize tremendous resources and capital. My husband, Lu Feng, belongs to the second category. To strangers or outsiders, he is no one, but the assets he manages are nearing $1 trillion. He is a person with great determination. It's not hard for him to achieve something. If he truly wants a divorce, he can easily push me out and leave me with my bare hands. If he's been compassionate enough not to burden me with debt and hardship, that is already a significant kindness. Getting along with a more than 20-year relationship, he may not be cruel enough to do that. But why should the tree I have nurtured be stripped of its fruit by someone else? At my age, I have long given up on illusions about love. I may be open to physical relationships with men, but tampering with my finances? No way. Unfortunately, this mistress is indeed quite skilled. First, she is younger and more beautiful than me, which makes the men around her look better as well. Second, she has an incredible understanding of men's psychology. She is performing a pure love play with Guan Dao style. She doesn't ask for money, doesn't seek for resources, and never mentions wanting to be recognized formally. She simply loves. She accepts being the other woman. As long as my husband occasionally remembers her, that is enough for her satisfaction. She said, my income is high enough. I don't need you to support me. I only need love. While this sounds noble, the truth is every project she works on has my husband's influence behind it. The resources and guarantees all come from him. She is very capable, but without someone backing her, would she have been able to secure those projects? Moreover, she and my husband are colleagues in the finance field. They have countless common topics to discuss. Meanwhile, me as a homemaker for many years struggled to keep up with his thoughts and awareness, resulting in fewer shared moments. By not pressuring men and providing high emotional value, who could blame a man for being swayed? Most importantly, she gave my husband her virginity. I know Lu Feng well. He has a deep obsession with virginity. I suspect he feels indebted to her. The less she demands, the more he feels obliged to be responsible for her throughout his life. The only reason he hasn't divorced me yet might be because I have given him 3 children. However, I have often heard him praising her skills and contributions to his career in front of the media and others. She has thoroughly overshadowed me. This battle is about to begin, and the only card I hold is the little affection that remains in my husband's heart. Because of this, I've lost 10 kilograms shortly after giving birth. I'm not sure if my youngest child's first birthday marks the end of this marriage. To be honest, I'm not afraid of being alone. However, I do have 3 children. My eldest son just started college, majoring in finance. Without his father's support, his career path will be very challenging. My second daughter attends an international school, which costs millions a year, and she aspires to study art abroad. Without substantial financial investment, her chances of success are low. The youngest child, a boy, was unplanned. But even just in his first month, the hospital bills and living costs were enough to support an average family for a whole year. I can't afford to lose this support because I'm fighting not just for myself. I can't leave Lu Feng when my elderly parents depend on me too. Last year, my dad was in ICU for a minor flu, with daily costs reaching 20,000 yuan, and he was hospitalized for 6 months. If my husband, a financial provider, hadn't funded it, I might have lost my father. Such events continually remind me that I cannot walk away from Lu Feng. If given a choice, who wouldn't want to be a strong heroine who solves everything independently, without relying on anyone? Sadly, I'm just an ordinary woman. I don't possess extraordinary intelligence to enter top universities, nor do I come from a wealthy family or have exceptional talent. The only asset I had, my beauty, has faded with time. However, never underestimate a mother's determination to protect her family. Unable to touch Lu Feng? That's fine. Making things difficult for the mistress, Zhang Titin, is still an option. The plan begins. I reach out to Huang Qian. As soon as I'm free, I go to meet him. He is a rogue I met at a bar, but he is also an expert in psychological manipulation. I have seen him charm an attractive woman with just a glass of water. Just a few days later, he left, while the girl was in agony, pleading to live or die. She could never love anyone else but him. The first time I encountered him was when I learned that my second daughter was at a bar with friends. I was alarmed and immediately investigated which bar they frequented, even hiring someone to keep an eye on the situation to prevent any trouble. That day, Huang Qian showed up. The bar staff were unsure of his background, so they called me to check him out. I hid behind the counter and witnessed how he flirted with a girl. Shortly after, I warned him not to prey on anyone in my bar. He merely squinted his eyes and smirked with a sinister grin. With just one glance, I grasped the concept of captivating the soul from ancient texts. Thankfully, I had mentally prepared myself. Otherwise, that single look could easily have sent my heart racing. Noticing my lack of reaction, he lazily took a drag from his cigarette and exhaled the smoke, mockingly saying, "The scent of an old woman is too strong. I'm not interested." After making an agreement with Huang Qian, he slipped a business card into my hand. Smiling casually, "Let's be friends. Who knows, you might need me someday." At that moment, I secretly chuckled. Why would I need a scoundrel? Little did I know that shocking twist would come so swiftly. The second time I encountered him, his aura seemed even more enchanting than before. He had a free-spirited and carefree beauty, resembling a vampire in the dark night, mysterious, dangerous, and full of primal allure. He leaned against the bar, smirking at me, and said in a lazy tone infused with intrigue, "Here comes a beauty. Finally, you've come looking for me." I didn't waste words, getting straight to the point. "Mr. Huang, you really are quite perceptive. I do have something I need your help with." He raised an eyebrow, signaling me to continue. I recounted the situation of being cornered by a mistress and made a simple request. Charm Zhang Titin, just once. With Luke Fong's personality, if she betrays him, he'll never be involved again. He stroked his chin, feigning difficulty. "Is the task that hard?" I preferred to cut to the chase and stated my offer. "Just give me a number." He laughed and shook his head. Zhang Titin isn't an easy catch. She was experienced and not easily fooled by trivial tricks. To win her over, I needed to craft a diamond businessman persona, complete with a luxury yacht, private jet, sports car, and million-dollar watch. In summary, I required a significant budget. I smirked and calmly replied, "I'm not a fool. You've showcased all of that on WeChat. You already have designer accessories, cars, and a yacht. With your skills, I'm sure you can create an aura of wealth without spending excessively." After hearing this, Huang Qian paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. He slowly stubbed out his cigarette, his eyes glinting with amusement. "A fun partnership lies ahead, my queen." Agreement on 500,000. The real game was about to begin. Huang Qian frowned, clicked his tongue. "Why are you so stingy? The mistress is almost at your doorstep. Yet you hesitate to spend it." I coldly laughed. "I just don't want to be deceived out of money before finalizing my divorce." He raised an eyebrow, feigning annoyance. "You don't trust me? Then why seek me out?" After saying this, he stood up, pretending to leave. I remained seated, showing no intention to stop him. The bar staff had previously informed me that he had been opting for cheaper drinks lately, suggesting his finances weren't robust. Justasi surmiset. He hadn't taken a few steps before turning back, unable to hold back a question. "Hey, you really aren't going to call me back?" I calmly responded, "I'm the client hiring you. If you aren't willing to take the job, I'll find someone else. There are certainly other qualified students from those dating training classes." He laughed upon hearing this, remained silent, but chose to sit down again. I looked at him and flatly made my offer. 500,000. If successful, I will pay you that amount as a fee. I will cover other expenses as they come. However, you must wear a listening device so I can oversee the entire process. No longer pretending to be high and mighty, he immediately agreed this time. The contract is established. Before I could strategize on orchestrating a chance meeting for him to approach Zhang Xiting, Huang Qian taught me a lesson in the so-called master art of flirting. In under 5 minutes, he had already made intimate contact with her. The agreement is finalized. The game officially begins. I carefully organized all the information about Zhang Titin into a neat file and formally placed it in front of Huang Qian. He glanced at it briefly, fixating on the photo, then uttered a sarcastic comment. "Widow's face, easy to seduce." After saying this, he tossed the file back at me as if it were worthless. I frowned and had to object. "Aren't you going to research the subject? Even romantic scams require detailed planning. Zhang Titin is a wealthy woman. Can you at least show some respect for the client?" He unexpectedly leaned in close, his breath brushing against my face. His gaze flirtatious. "Client? Only those who pay are clients. If respect is due, it should be for me to respect you, right?" I refused to argue, picking up Zhang Titin's file and slapping him with it, pushing him away. He doubled over, exclaiming, It hurts. I paid a lot to fix this nose. If you damage it, you'll have to pay. I crossed my arms and coldly replied, you can forget about compensation. Company rule number 1. No harassing the recruiter. This guy is far too flirtatious. If rules aren't set from the start, he'll definitely take liberties later. He tilted his head to look at me, wearing a devilish grin. Not fun at all. With that, he grabbed a listening device, stuffed it into his pocket, and pointed a finger at me without looking back. 1 month. You need to find a way to push your husband away. Don't bother me. The game has truly begun now. 5 minutes to defeat the game turned upside down from the very first move. 1 month. Jiang Titin isn't someone to be underestimated, yet he is so arrogant. I felt a bit regretful for hiring him. However, after the initial encounter, I completely understood why he was so confident. That day at a shopping mall, I sat in Starbucks on the 2nd floor, watching from above as Huang Qian approached Jiang Titin. He smiled as he approached, but his demeanor was very different today. There was no hint of the previous lewdness or the usual disreputable appearance. Today, he was embodying a true gentleman, polite, refined, and composed. He wore a red Angora sweater in Louis Vuitton style, exuding warmth and elegance. He wasn't the flashy, wealthy type, but rather the demeanor of a young heir who had been immersed in luxury from a young age. With sharp facial features, he projected a unique vibe reminiscent of an aristocrat from a previous era, possessing both wealth and a prestigious background, albeit somewhat lacking in intelligence. I thought he would approach Jiang Titin right away, but he didn't. Instead, he turned to her companion, an older woman who was Jiang Titin's mother. He politely bowed, his tone slightly awkward yet genuinely sincere, saying, "Excuse me, I just found a card. I'm not sure if it belongs to you." He held in his hand a uniquely designed membership card with just 2 simple words, "Lao That." I immediately understood his intentions. Lao That was an extremely private and luxurious restaurant. True to its name, it was a place where only influential families conversed, with absolutely no ordinary individuals. The patrons there might not be highly educated, but they certainly had money and connections. The troubling part was, I had never heard of a membership card for this restaurant. So where did he get this? I was unsure, but it was clear that his plan was already unfolding successfully. He had struck a psychological chord. Jiang Titin fell into the trap from the very first moment. Jiang Titin's mother shook her head, saying the card wasn't hers. However, Jiang Titin's gaze lingered on the card for quite a while. At that moment, Huang Qian made his next move. He smiled shyly, even scratching his neck lightly, which gave him a rare, innocent, and sincere appearance. Then he slowly stated, "Actually, I might be a bit forward, but I really want to get to know your daughter. I thought it would be proper to consult you first." I instantly recognized the game he was playing. Jiang Titin's mother had likely never been treated with such respect and consulted by a handsome young man in her life. Looking at her daughter, she responded comfortably with a smile. "It's nice for young people to get to know each other." I slightly smirked. Her simple statement had opened a door for Huang Qian. Why? Because Jiang Titin was not born into wealth. She is a phoenix emerging from a narrow alley, someone who has escaped her old class to rise to her current position. The entire Jiang family takes pride in her. People commend her mother for being fortunate to have such a talented, affluent child. However, the truth is that throughout her life, she has always held a higher status than her mother at home. She is accustomed to having her parents follow her lead and being the center of attention. But this time, her mother has the first opportunity to make a decision, which has put Jiang Tiling in a passive position. Could she refuse right in front of her mother? No, she couldn't. Even if she did refuse, she had already subconsciously noted the name Huang Qian. As for Jiang Tiling, I understand one thing very well. No successful woman in finance is not pragmatic. Her attire reflected an old aristocratic style, a casually displayed Patek Philippe on her wrist, and a mysterious luxury restaurant membership card. These elements were enough to pique her curiosity and ambition. Anyone facing a charismatic man with an enigmatic background would want to learn more about him. And once curiosity sets in, the game has officially begun. A perfect scenario: 1 move, 3 layers of traps. As expected, Jiang Tiling confidently extended her hand, flashing a charismatic smile. Tian Yuan Securities, Jiang Tiling. I think we've met somewhere before, right? Huang Qian pretended to be astonished by her boldness, also reaching out for a handshake, but only holding on briefly before letting go, creating a subtlety in their interaction. He smiled widely, revealing his perfectly straight white teeth, intentionally portraying himself as a naive and easily manipulated young man. I don't think we've met. If we had, I'm sure you would have been in my contacts long ago. This statement has 3 layers of meaning. It flirts and flatters, implying that she's too captivating to forget if they had met before. It also creates an impression of innocence and vulnerability, like a fool who is enchanted, making the other person feel they are in control. Encourage her to take the initiative in connecting. Use a lighthearted comment to pave the way for sharing WeChat information. As expected, they exchanged WeChat details very naturally. At the same time, I immediately opened the personal page that Huang Qian had meticulously edited to see how he portrayed himself. Indeed, it was something not to be underestimated. The newly updated photos showed him participating in international programming competitions on Codeforce's Round, which features some of the world's brightest programming talents. I scrolled down further. There was a picture of him at Ascot Manor during the Royal Ascot horse racing event. It was a perfect deception. With just a few photos, he had crafted an impressive persona that included 3 layers. Coming from wealth, he had the credentials to attend the Royal Ascot, an event for British aristocrats. A tech genius, a world-class programmer, intelligent and rational. A family with a long-standing tradition, not only wealthy, but also with a strong family background. Everything was flawlessly photoshopped, and the timeline had no gaps. I wondered how many different accounts he managed to maintain these personas. If I didn't know his true face, I might have been drawn into this facade without a second thought. Huang Qian's plan was already in motion. Now it was my turn to act. The celebration for the 100-day milestone of the youngest child was approaching. This was the perfect opportunity to deliver a decisive blow to Luke Fong. The 100-day party, my first move. Luke Fong had a son at an older age, and he was at the peak of his career. Many would want to fan the flames on a hot stove. The party for the youngest child's 100 days was initially planned to be extravagant, but I proactively suggested that it should be kept small, inviting only the truly essential guests for a cozy gathering. Luke Fong had no objections. Over the years, he had grown weary of social gatherings. In reality, he was the one with the highest IQ. He couldn't be bothered to explain his thoughts to us ordinary people, but had to maintain social relationships due to his leadership position. Thus, when I made this suggestion, he fully supported it. I immediately decided to hold the party at the private restaurant, Lao That. The owner was very respectful of Luke Fong and reserved the entire second floor for us. Despite that, the guest list kept getting longer, and ultimately the party turned into a crowded gathering where everyone was jostling for a seat. The distinguished guests were all present, and the family was filled with joy. However, for me, this was not just a celebration. It was a significant move, an action to pull Jiang Titing away from the gathering. I knew that occasions like this were always the most uncomfortable for Jiang Titing. She fully understood that until she was officially recognized, she would never be able to share any formal holiday with Lu Feng. As long as she wasn't officially acknowledged, Lu Feng could be called back home at any moment. Without a recognized status, she had to endure the scrutinizing and disdainful glances of those around her. Yet, Jiang Titing was quite patient. She pretended to be magnanimous, acting unconcerned, and accepted enduring discomfort for many years, all to build a sense of indebtedness in Lu Feng's heart. In fact, I had already uncovered her secret long ago. She had frozen her eggs and even convinced Lu Feng to go to a fertility clinic for health checks. I knew Lu Feng was about to be swayed by her. No matter what Jiang Titing claimed, whether she said she didn't care about status and only hoped to have a child with her surname in her old age, I understood perfectly. As soon as that child was born, regardless of whether it carried the Jiang or Lu name, it would divide both Lu Feng's affection and assets. Furthermore, Lu Feng had even sought legal counsel and began discussing divorce options with me. I couldn't wait any longer. On the day of the 100-day celebration for the youngest child, I arranged for Huang Jian to invite Jiang Titing to dinner. The objective was clear: to draw her away from the family table. I knew that this gathering would not just be a reunion, but a dagger to her pride. Jiang Titing couldn't resist and would come, yet this time, she would have to remain an outsider. I was certain she would show up. Humans are strange creatures. They know that witnessing something can cause pain, yet they can't help but thrust themselves into such situations. 3 years ago, on my mother-in-law's birthday, she also hid at the side gate, peeking inside. This time would be no different. She wouldn't be able to withstand the urge to come. However, what I didn't expect was that she was wearing an identical red cheongsam to mine. While I was upstairs, toasting and fully engaged in the lively atmosphere, becoming the center of attention at the party, she quietly sat downstairs in the guest area. Why was she wearing that gorgeous cheongsam? To prove her worth to be here? To compete with me? Or simply to show Lu Feng that she deserves recognition too? Regardless of her reasons, I was the one raising the glass in celebration today, while she could only sit and watch silently. The party concluded with a traditional 100-day cake-cutting ceremony. I specifically instructed the kitchen to make plenty and have it distributed to guests on the lower floor, as a token of good luck. Through my earpiece, I heard Jiang Titing's cold voice. I really dislike this outdated traditional practice of the Chinese. Does our family matter need to be announced to the whole world? I smiled lightly. She couldn't stand it, yet had no choice but to attend. She didn't want to see it, but couldn't resist witnessing it firsthand. Thus, she had already lost the moment she walked in. The next move heading downstairs. Hearing Jiang Titing's bitter voice coming through the earpiece, I knew it was time to act. I took my child and walked gently down to the first floor, finding a quiet corner to calmly take my shirt off and breastfeed. Of course, I used a silk cloth to cover up what needed to be concealed, but everyone knew what I was doing. Perhaps because we have lived in what is called a civilized society for too long, the sight of a mother breastfeeding is often deemed impolite. On the red carpet, in advertisements, when a woman is partially covered, it's labeled as sexy and trendy. However, when a mother meets her child's most basic needs, she is considered lacking in elegance and uncivilized. A young waitress approached, her tone unfriendly. "Excuse me, this is a public place. That isn't appropriate." I looked up, smiled, and replied calmly, "But my child is hungry. I need to feed her." She frowned and insisted, "You can go to the restroom to breastfeed. This is a restaurant that doesn't look appropriate." I gave a slight smile, looked directly into her eyes, and said slowly, "Then why don't you go to the restroom to eat? This is a restaurant. Does that mean my child can't eat here?" It was a public showdown. Jiang Titing was digging her own grave. The waitress frowned and raised her voice. "What you're saying is a bit unreasonable. Your actions have made the customers uncomfortable, so we are asking you to leave. Please respect yourself and exit the restaurant quickly." I was furious and shouted back, "How does breastfeeding affect anyone? Aren't you the result of a mother? Didn't you breastfeed as a child? Who is being bothered by this? Who feels uncomfortable? Show me." My voice echoed throughout the restaurant, immediately grabbing the attention of everyone. The cultured men wouldn't dare look at me, instead focusing on the waitress. The women around me regarded me with varying expressions, some empathetic, some hopeless, and others unsure of which side to take. The young waitress started losing her composure and raised her voice, trying to deflect the blame. "We received complaints from customers, which is why we're asking you to leave. You should be more respectful to others." I laughed coldly and stared at her. Who is so uncultured as to complain about a mother breastfeeding? She turned pale, speechless in response. At that moment, Jiang Titing stood up, her voice cold and sharp. "I complained, so what?" The restaurant fell completely silent. She smirked, her eyes filled with disdain. "Who is the uncultured one here? In broad daylight, in a public place, you shamelessly expose a sensitive part. You're the one without culture." She looked at me with contempt, emphasizing each word. "Women like you don't deserve." Before she could finish her sentence, I gently held my child tighter and smiled calmly. The trap had been set, and she had pushed herself into the pit. The tide had turned the trap closed in. Jiang Titing's next words were cut off because Lu Feng had stepped forward. He stood frozen in place, as if he had never seen this side of her before. However, Lu Feng had weathered many storms and had developed the ability to control his emotions instinctively. In an instant, his expression returned to its usual calm demeanor. He took off his coat silently and gently draped it over me and our child. Noticing his darkened expression, I lowered my voice to explain. There was too much smoke and alcohol upstairs, and the baby was hungry. I had no other choice. I didn't understand why, but as soon as he heard that, Lu Feng became incredibly gentle. He bent down and softly said, "It's my fault. I haven't taken good care of you and our child." I stared at him, momentarily taken aback. Since when could this man say such things? But before I could ponder further, he turned to the owner of Lao That, Mr. Vong, and said, "I apologize, Mr. Vong, my wife needs to breastfeed. Could you prepare a screen for her?" Mr. Vong suddenly seemed to wake up and slapped his forehead. "Oh dear. I apologize for my lack of hospitality. The lady and young master have been wronged. Tonight's expenses are on me. I hope you'll give me the chance to make amends." I couldn't help but smile, quietly admiring Lu Feng's clever handling of the situation. The assertive waitress from earlier had vanished without a trace. I looked up and caught a glimpse of Jiang Titing. She stood frozen, her face stiff, completely immobilized. She realized that in an instant, she had utterly lost her advantage. In this 100-day celebration, I was the true winner. Jiang Titing was losing control. It was a perfect counterattack. I knew that after today, that waitress would definitely lose her job. Therefore, I had given her 10,000 yuan beforehand, asking her to help me put on this act. Additionally, I had secretly tampered with the cake meant for Jiang Titing, adding a mild sedative, not enough to cause harm, but sufficient to temporarily amplify her negative emotions. Now that Lu Feng was protecting me, it only heightened Jiang Titing's agitation. Under the influence of the drug, she suddenly kicked the screen violently. Crash! The sound of it crashing echoed through the restaurant, breaking the silence in an instant. The loud noise startled my child, causing them to cry out, and I quickly grabbed them tightly, trembling as I backed into a corner, pretending to be frightened. Jiang Titing sneered coldly and said sharply, "What are you pretending for? You're old, yet still acting like those naive young girls, trying to play the victim. Don't you feel ashamed to openly breastfeed in public? Have you looked at yourself? With all these men around, does anyone even care to look at you?" Her words were vicious and unprecedented, especially coming from someone who always considered herself superior. I was taken aback, not out of sorrow, but due to the unexpected reveal of her true nature. Before I could respond, she suddenly burst into tears, crying while pointing at Lu Feng. She sobbed and exclaimed, "Look, you are the only one who treats a worthless woman like this as a treasure." The entire restaurant fell silent. She revealed her relationship with Lu Feng before everyone, undermining her own image that she had maintained for so long. Most importantly, she had completely lost. Jiang Titing completely lost control. Her fate was sealed. Do you still wear gold and silver for her? A useless parasite like that. Does she even deserve it? I couldn't see Lu Feng's expression, but I could sense his anger. His broad back, which was shielding me and my child, quivered slightly with rage. At that moment, guests from the second floor began to come down, all eyes focused intently on the scene. I guess Lu Feng would not tolerate such insults. I hoped he would slap Jiang Titing, but since she was the woman he once loved, I knew he wouldn't hit her. Instead, he turned to the restaurant owner, Mr. Wang, and spoke coldly. "Mr. Wang, please have someone take her outside. I apologize for the disruption." However, Jiang Titing was completely out of control. With her eyes blazing, she frantically rushed at Lu Feng, ripping at his shirt and screaming in despair. "What gives you the right? Why are you protecting her? What is she? She's just someone who bore you a few children. I could give birth too." Two security guards had to struggle to drag her out of the restaurant. She was thrashing wildly, tears streaming down her face as she cried and yelled, "Lu Feng, you are so cruel. I've waited for you all these years and you dare to call me crazy? How could you treat me like this?" The scene was chaotic. However, I had completely won this battle. Lu Feng had witnessed her ugliest side. This relationship was now beyond repair. The situation had escalated unexpectedly, a shocking blow. "Lu Feng, don't think I can't live without you. Let me tell you, there are plenty of people chasing after me." I frowned slightly, sensing that something was off. The amount of drug I had given her was minimal, just enough to amplify negative emotions, not to the point of complete loss of control like this. I'm not a good person, but I'm certainly not foolish enough to give too much and risk revealing anything unusual. Looking over at the bar corner, where Fuang Qian was leisurely swirling his wine glass, I suddenly realized, it's over. This drug's effect would double when mixed with alcohol. But I don't recall telling her to drink. I glanced at Fuang Qian just as he casually tossed his wine into a plant pot. Damn it, this guy must have played a part too. I quickly signaled him with a warning glance. Wrap this up quickly, don't let it escalate. Fuang Qian shrugged, picked up his phone, and headed outside, seemingly ready to deal with Jiang Titing. Meanwhile, Lu Feng's face darkened, looking as if he was at a loss. But before he could act, something even worse happened. My mother-in-law fainted right at the scene. Mom! Mom! My sister-in-law frantically shook her while shouting. The entire restaurant erupted into chaos as people rushed to call an ambulance. The onlookers quickly dispersed, but not before secretly recording a few videos. These clips would likely become hot gossip within high society for a long time. I clenched my fists. This match could be considered over. The battle concluded an unexpected outcome, even though Lu Feng immediately sent someone to manage the crisis. Some videos still leaked online. The mistress shamelessly confronted the legitimate wife, Luke Fong, the CFO. Cheated on his pregnant wife with a female subordinate. Luke Fong is under investigation by the authorities. These headlines dominated financial and entertainment news, quickly rising in search rankings. Shortly after, the regulatory agency summoned Luke Fong for a discussion. Within a week, a transfer decision was announced. Luke Fong was reassigned to the London branch, with an uncertain timeline. Meanwhile, Jiang Titing's employment contract expired but was not renewed, forcing her to leave the company. I never anticipated things would escalate this way. Initially, I only wanted Luke Fong to see Jiang Titing's true self, so he would distance himself from her for a while and give Fuang Qian a chance to get closer. I didn't expect the situation to blow up like this. It wasn't until I accidentally spotted a tab on my eldest son's computer still logged into a tabloid news channel reporting on the scandal that I realized everything. It turned out my son was also trying to protect me in his own way. I lightly tapped my son's head, pretending to scold him. Do you know if your dad can't return here after graduation, you will lose many opportunities? My son looked at me seriously and spoke slowly. Word for word, Mom, trust me. I can make you live well without relying on Dad. You don't have to endure these things for my sake. I stood still, my heart slightly moved. It turned out I wasn't fighting alone. I hugged my son and gently patted his shoulder, saying nothing more. He had never experienced society's harsh realities, so how could he grasp the significance of a father like Luke Fong for his career path? The times are different now, and it seems that children from poor backgrounds can no longer rise up. However, what shocked me even more was what Fuang Qian told me afterward. The person who slipped drugs into Zhang Titin's drink that day was not him, but my second daughter. The girl had used a powerful stimulant, a substance that makes it impossible for one to control their speech, forcing them to reveal their true thoughts. I don't know where she got it, but when confronted with my question, she clenched her fists and said nothing. Eventually, she looked directly into my eyes and assured me, "Don't worry, Mom, I won't go astray." I suddenly realized that the kids had grown up in ways I had not noticed. Yet, they're still too young. What they did, if discovered by Luke Fong, could lead to unpredictable consequences. I immediately contacted a media company, hired someone to delete posts, remove hot searches, and eliminate all traces related to my son in this case. As for my daughter, as long as Luke Fong truly gives up Zhang Titin, what she did could be seen merely as a daughter's attempt to protect her family. I know Luke Fong well. He is a man of feelings and morals, and it's difficult for him to let go of the past. I have been the steadfast wife, one who helped him start from scratch, even selling my family home to fund his initial investment. Thus, even if love has faded, he has never let me lose face over the years. Zhang Titin, on the other hand, is a significant part of his life. As long as she doesn't make a serious mistake and knows how to cry and plead, she will always remain a close companion in his heart. Therefore, the most crucial factor still lies with Fuang Qian. With Luke Fong being sent abroad, I need to make the most of this time to advance our plans. Yet, at this moment, Fuang Qian told me he wanted to back out. There's nothing interesting left. A broken phoenix is worse than a chicken. Now, Zhang Titin clings to me every day, begging me to take her to London. I chuckled lightly. That's right, according to the personal file you created for yourself. You have extensive connections with the British royal family. She is probably dreaming of a different strong female lead scenario, wanting to reappear before Lu Feng as an independent woman with high-status connections. Such women are exactly his type. Fuang Qian stirred his coffee with a spoon, the corners of his mouth curling up mockingly. The person who understands her best is not her family, but her enemy. Her biggest mistake was choosing you as her rival. If it were someone else, she would have probably been officially transferred by now. I narrowed my eyes at him. Are you starting to feel sympathy for your prey? He scoffed. Not quite that. I just find it boring. I remained steadfast, slowly raising my offer. I'll add 300,000. Let's play another round. Consider it a practical lesson for my 2 kids, teaching them how to identify men like you. He leaned back, pretending to ponder, then sighed. Sigh. I'm beginning to feel envious. With a mother like you, which child wouldn't receive elite guidance? Life is inherently difficult. If I can't avoid the battlefield, then let me be the first to lead my child into it. Understanding the true nature of male-female relationships early on will lessen the painful falls in life. After I increased my offer, Fuang Qian clearly became more enthusiastic. Kiddo, the first rule for successfully attracting women is this. Men must take the initiative to lead and upgrade the relationship step by step. Never be the puppy who follows and flatters girls. It gets you nowhere. At best, you get a good guy card, or worse, become the backup tire. My daughter frowned, openly displaying her disdain. What era are we in for you to still have that sexist mindset? Only poorly informed girls would fall for your tricks. Fuang Qian was challenged but didn't get angry. He smirked. So, tell me, what's the most important thing for a girl in a relationship? The girl was taken aback. Clearly she hadn't thought about this. It's the feeling of safety. Fuang Qian smirked. Regardless of age, women always crave a sense of security. Think about it. Would you feel safer with a guy who is always rushing after you, treating you like a goddess? Or with a man who can lead you and help you navigate through the forest? This time, my daughter didn't argue and simply nodded thoughtfully. Fuang Qian turned to my son. Remember, kid, never let a girl lead you on. Sometimes they don't even realize they need someone to take charge. My son made a face, looking like he was questioning whether this was worth learning. But Fuang Qian quickly posed a situational question to him. Imagine you're on the street and want to strike up a conversation with a girl. When you say, I want to get to know you, she could respond in 3 ways. Can you guess which scenario has the highest chance of success? First, what do you need? Second, why should I get to know you? Third, oh, you startled me. My son was taken aback. He had never initiated a conversation with a girl before, so when asked, he just scratched his head in confusion. Does it really make a difference? Fuang Qian sighed, looking at him like he was a pitiful creature. Kid, you might not be a dog on a leash, but if you don't understand women, you'll be single for life. Remember, women's thinking has two characteristics. First, they focus only on the present moment. Second, they are always concerned with interpersonal relationships. If you don't grasp these two factors, your conversations will die instantly. He paused for a moment, then went on. Suppose you text a girl and ask, "What are you doing?" She replies, "Studying." What will you respond? My son pondered for a few seconds and tentatively answered, "What are you studying?" Huang Qian quickly responded, "English." "She's preparing for the IELTS exam." Then he squinted at my son, as if waiting for him to say something more. My son, usually calm and rational, hesitated and then replied, "How about I explain the key points for the IELTS exam to you?" Before Huang Qian could react, my daughter burst out laughing. "Hey, you're flirting with her. Not teaching a lesson." Huang Qian shook his head and chuckled. This truly reflects the literal mindset of men. I'm always thinking about having goals and figuring out how to solve problems. So how should I respond? My son asked seriously. Don't rush to find a solution. Focus on the other person's emotions. All right, let's redo this conversation. He smirked and demonstrated. What are you doing? Studying. Oh, I'm studying too. But studying is exhausting. I wonder if you're tired? I am a bit tired. Then let's go for afternoon tea. I know a great place. It was at this moment that my son woke up to the realization. Why do some people make conversations enjoyable for others, even if they don't have good intentions? This is known as the technique of downward conversation, always guiding based on the other person's current emotions. Now, back to the earlier question. Huang Qian tapped his fingers on the table. What are the 3 responses when you're approached? And which girl has the best chance of success? My son quickly understood and confidently answered. The third girl, you startled me, because her response connects to the emotions of the current moment. Huang Qian smiled, his eyes reflecting satisfaction. Good. Now let's move on to the next topic. Teaching and awareness from mother to outsider. As time passed, Huang Qian took on the role of a university professor, discussing everything from anthropology to sociology, from behavioral psychology to brain science, thoroughly analyzing the thoughts of men and women. Eventually, when he started discussing physiology, I quietly withdrew because, as a mother, I felt it inappropriate to continue listening. I couldn't express my feelings. My children were no longer my little ones. They were simply themselves independent individuals with their own thoughts and decisions. I had also underestimated Huang Qian. At first, I couldn't understand why someone with such extensive knowledge would engage in trivial matters instead of pursuing more meaningful contributions to society. I once asked him, with these skills, you could easily deceive and take advantage of wealthy girls, making a quick fortune and achieving financial freedom. Why choose to be a bounty hunter? He looked at me as if I had asked a silly question and replied, Sister, cheating people is illegal. I chuckled to myself. In reality, while being deceptive in matters of love may only be criticized on moral grounds, deceiving someone for money is treated differently. It is a criminal offense subject to legal consequences. I asked him why he chose not to pursue an honest path and instead engaged in this line of work. At that moment, he no longer answered directly and instead evaded the question, playfully offering a mysterious look. Certainly, everyone has their own secrets. I was just an employee, not his mother, so I didn't need to know too much. Strategizing to win over Jiang Yiting the children's plan. A few days later, my 2 children personally laid out a plan to win over Jiang Yiting. They proposed the following dating script. 5 p.m. Invite Jiang Yiting to eat at a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, located less than 3 kilometers from Huang Qian's house. 6 p.m. After eating, suggest going for a city walk, stopping by a roadside fruit stand to buy some grapes and pomelo. 6:30 p.m. Invite her to their home to cut the fruit and play with their pet dog. 7 p.m. Take the dog for a walk, creating an intimate atmosphere. Then proceed to the next step. At first, I thought this plan was quite simple. Could it really work? But Huang Qian nodded vigorously, praising, "These kids are ready to start." He said that while it seems straightforward, each step has a strategic purpose. First, why choose conveyor belt sushi? This dining method is different from traditional restaurants, as people sit side by side rather than facing each other. This setup creates numerous opportunities for natural physical contact without feeling intrusive. Moreover, the dining experience is uninterrupted by waitstaff, allowing the emotional connection between the two to continue flowing, thus fostering an ambiguous atmosphere. Secondly, why at 5 p.m.? Because conveyor belt sushi is quick to eat. Dinner should wrap up around 6 p.m. while it's still light outside. This timing is crucial, as women often have an instinctive defensive mechanism. When it gets dark, they become more alert, but if it's still bright, their subconscious doesn't trigger protective instincts, making them more open to intimate situations. Huang Qian would seize this opportunity to suggest a walk in the nearby area and casually stop by a roadside fruit stand. However, the The chosen fruits must be carefully selected. Not immediate-to-eat options like bananas or oranges, but rather grapes or grapefruit, which require washing or peeling. This way, they'll have a legitimate reason to return home, either to get a knife or to wash the fruit. This creates an invisible trap, as most women are not overly cautious during daylight and will easily agree to go home just to cut the fruit. After eating the fruit, they can suggest taking the dog for a walk. Puppies are adorable. Who could refuse that? But the most crucial point is that once they go, they must return. The first visit to the house is by chance, but the second visit is due to habit. By the time she returns for the second time, the sense of unfamiliarity has decreased significantly, and instinctively, people tend to accept environments they have previously encountered. In the gently lit, hazy atmosphere with soft music featuring gamma and sub-bass frequencies, the human mind will be greatly affected, reducing rationality and morality. After that, everything will unfold naturally. After hearing Fuang Qian's explanation, I was completely taken aback. I never intended to raise my child to be naive and unaware, but such manipulation is truly unsettling. Fuang Qian smirked, picking up a few items from the table. See? These are the things the girl has prepared. On the table lay a loose men's t-shirt, contact lens solution, a washcloth, a brand new toothbrush and makeup remover. He shrugged, his gaze significant. This girl has truly left Zhang Titin no reason to back out. Because every woman hesitates at the moment of decision. No change of clothes? There's a loose t-shirt available. No personal hygiene items? Everything is brand new. No makeup remover? It's provided. Everything has been prearranged to ensure that when the moment arrives, nothing can hinder her decision. I began to doubt myself. Had I pushed them to grow up too quickly? However, Fuang Qian seemed to read my thoughts and slowly said, "Have you heard of family office?" As he spoke, his gaze darkened slightly, looking out the window to an indeterminate distant place. I frowned and thought, I've heard of it, but my family isn't in a position to be involved with that. He chuckled softly, speaking slowly. I was sent to an island at 16, training for a whole year. There were all kinds of people on the island, from intellectuals to businessmen, gangsters, politicians, and assassins. Representatives from family office were there too, accompanied by a group of beautiful women of all shapes, colors, and ethnicities. But to me, they all seemed the same because I had already become numb to women. In this life, I will never be charmed by them. He smirked slightly, his eyes showing a hint of mockery. Your children, if they see through the nature of love early, won't have to suffer in relationships. His words seemed sensible, yet I still sensed something off. Many years later, as I observed my children dedicated only to their work, obsessed with money, I finally understood my mistake. They would never be deceived or hurt in love. However, they had also lost the ability to love sincerely. That's a story for later. At this moment, I focused on one important detail. Did Fuang Qian's family have a family office? Had he undergone training? If he truly came from such a family, then why was he still lacking money? Doesn't your family give you money? I asked. Fuang Qian lowered his head with a wry smile, his tone dripping with sarcasm. The family has fallen on hard times. Let's not talk about it. He then pulled a cigarette from his pocket and walked slowly outside. In the haze of smoke, his silhouette appeared desolate and weary, mixed with an air of danger that suddenly made me feel uneasy. I began to regret not investigating thoroughly before hiring him. But by this point, the arrow had left the bow. There was no turning back. To ensure safety, I returned the children to school and sternly advised, from now on, don't get involved with this anymore. And don't contact Fuang Qian. The two children had grown much more mature after their experiences. The cause is unclear, but it is clear that in the darkness, I am the only one my children can trust their mother. Before leaving, my eldest son looked at me earnestly and said clearly, Mom, no matter what you decide, don't worry about me. Even without Dad, I can still take care of you and my two siblings. Although his words still had a childlike quality, they warmed my heart. I patted the heads of the two younger ones and smiled gently, saying, go on, take care. On Fuang Qian's side, the plan was progressing very smoothly. Each layer was carefully arranged, and he attacked softly and patiently, with every word penetrating deeply into hearts. I could clearly feel that Zhang Titin's gaze toward him was gradually changing. From being watchful and defensive, it turned into admiration and obsession. The battle came to an end, but the real game was just beginning. On the day of the plan's execution, Zhang Titin fell into the trap, even more easily than expected. She believed it was just a romantic surprise meeting, unaware that every little detail of that evening had been meticulously planned. In this world, there is no such thing as a perfect lover. If there were, it would be the most alarming sign of all. Just like right now, on the other side of the hidden camera lens, I was watching every sharp frame in 4K detail. From this moment on, Zhang Titin could never be my rival again. I thought everything had come to a conclusion and that the battle was completely wrapped up. I believed the contract between me and Huang Qian could be officially ended too. But I was mistaken. The next developments were beyond my control. Because Huang Qian, from the beginning to the end, had goals that were not just about money. The next act, the predator reveals its claws. The next morning, I habitually opened the surveillance camera. As soon as the images appeared, I was struck dumb. Zhang Titin was kneeling on the floor, tears streaming down her face, pleading with Huang Qian for forgiveness. In front of her, Huang Qian had arranged a line of glass cups on the wooden floor and, holding a metal hammer, crushed them one by one. The sound of shattering glass echoed coldly and ruthlessly, making even me, sitting in front of the screen, shudder with chills. But that was not the worst part. After shattering everything, he calmly bent down and picked up a handful of sharp shards, pressing them hard against his thigh. Drops of fresh blood soaked through his white pajamas, staining them a vivid red. He didn't furrow his brow, didn't make a sound, and showed no signs of pain. He quietly engaged in self-destruction. As if this was a brutal ritual he had been familiar with for a long time. I felt my scalp go numb, and my hands gripped tightly, cold as ice. Zhang Titin trembled in fear. Yet she could not leave. This was because Huang Qian had completely manipulated her mind. "Speak," he whispered, his voice hoarse and twisted. "Say you love me. That you love only me. That for your entire life, you will never love anyone else but me." Zhang Titin quivered, tears streaming down her face. Yet, under his crazed gaze, she had no choice but to repeat each word. "I love you. Only you. For my whole life, only you." Immediately after, Huang Qian's expression changed drastically. From cold and gloomy, it suddenly became weak and sorrowful as he embraced her tightly, whispering like a delusional person. "My darling, I can't handle it. I love you so much. But you've been with someone else. Will you ever go back to him? Do you still have feelings for anyone besides me? Do you know? I can't lose you." Zhang Titin shook but gently comforted him as if soothing a child. "No, I won't leave you. In the future, I will only have you." I felt a chill run down my spine. This was no longer a game. The hunter had truly been possessed by darkness. "No, I don't believe you. You have to prove it to me." "How should I prove it? I want you to make breakfast for me every day. No takeout. You have to cook yourself." Zhang Titin responded sweetly, with a soft voice. "Okay, for you I will learn to cook. But you have to promise me to bandage your wounds first." So, from being someone who had never stepped into the kitchen, she began to wash her hands and cook. Even Luke Fong had never received such treatment from her. I watched through the screen as Zhang Titin left the room to grab a first aid kit. Just as she stepped out, Huang Qian turned to the camera and softly remarked, "This is after-sales service." I immediately texted, "No need anymore. You can step back now." He lethargically replied, "Sister, it's really hard to please you." Then he smirked, his face still pale, raised one hand towards the camera, making a heart gesture. I felt uneasy and texted again, "Stop it. Let her go. I can pay more." This time, he didn't respond anymore. I planned to text him again to stop him, but the message couldn't be sent. He had blocked me. I tried to transfer money to his bank account as per our initial agreement, but the transaction was denied. I called Zhang Titin, but she had also blocked my number. On the screen, only Huang Qian's grim, malicious smile remained. With no other options, I rushed to the apartment, which was supposed to be a short-term rental for this plan. I intended to enter directly, but the access code had been changed. I called the landlord, but he had also blocked me. For the first time in this plan, I felt real fear. I didn't know what Huang Qian was plotting. What was even scarier was that I had no way to contact the police. What could I tell them? That I had secretly installed surveillance cameras, and was now invading the privacy of a couple who were willingly in love. That the person manipulating Zhang Titin was a dangerous one, but I had no clear evidence to accuse him. If I brought the police, given my relationship with Zhang Titin, she might countersue me for harassment. So I could only stand helplessly outside, watching through the camera as Huang Qian systematically suffocated Zhang Titin, pushing her into an inescapable trap. It was a total collapse, a nightmare with no escape. It all began with breakfast, followed by the act of killing a live fish. Then came her agreeing to let Huang Qian carve words into her skin. Even her fondness for a little dog became a test of loyalty. Under Huang Qian's orders, Zhang Titin personally killed that small teddy dog. That moment marked the complete breaking point. There was no turning back for her. From that instant, he started calling her mother. She, having completely lost her moral boundaries, belonged entirely to him, becoming a puppet he could control. I thought everything would stop there. But then, through the camera, I witnessed something more horrifying than anything I had ever imagined. The once proud, sharp woman was now kneeling on the floor, learning to bark like a dog. He was barking and repeatedly uttering degrading phrases. "I am garbage. I am a harlot. I am a despicable woman, unworthy of being human. Meanwhile, Huang Qian continued his familiar action, shattering glass cups under his feet. But the nightmare didn't end there. In the following days, I noticed different men appearing on that bed. Some were old, others were young, but the one commonality was that all were connected to Luke Fong. His professor, his colleagues, his classmates, relatives, even his nephew. It was then that I truly understood Huang Qian's real plan. The person he wanted to destroy was never just Zhang Titin. He aimed to ruin Luke Fong as well. He forced Zhang Titin into bed with everyone in Luke Fong's social circle. And when the truth came to light, Luke Fong's honor would be irreparably shattered. The screen shook. Huang Qian stared directly at the camera, his eyes blazing and frantic. Are you satisfied now? He chuckled coldly. Look, not only did I help you deal with that little mistress, but I also took care of that scoundrel of a man. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt only horror. The events were not yet over. I had to go to London. 3 months later, they left that house. I was unexpectedly removed from Zhang Titin's blocked list. Curious, I visited her personal page. The latest photo showed her and Huang Qian in England. In the picture, Huang Qian had his arm around her waist, while Zhang Titin stood stiffly, her gaze vacant. With the expansive grass of Ascot Manor, the sight of the Royal Ascot horse racing in the background. In the left corner of the image, Luke Fong was also present, his expression grim and his face completely soured. Zhang Titin had finally achieved her long-held dream to enter the upper class of England. But now, she could no longer hold her head high, pretending to be proud in front of Luke Fong. One day, Luke Fong was summoned by his superiors for a meeting. Shortly after, I received a call from a high-ranking official. Sister-in-law, Luke's condition hasn't been very good lately. Could you go to London with him? I felt a pang of anxiety, but still managed to keep my voice steady. I can't go. My child is still small, and my mother-in-law is sick. The person on the other end paused for a moment before saying slowly, Sister-in-law, I am aware that old Lou has wronged you. However, this is a critical time. We are in a financial battle. I can't reveal too much, but old Lou is a key player. His mental state is unstable, and that has a significant impact. I gripped the phone tightly, lost in thought. But would my presence make any difference? You've been husband and wife since youth. You know him best. No one else is more suited than you. Faced with the greater good of the country, I couldn't just focus on personal grudges. Eventually, I packed my bags and flew to London. I entered the apartment where Lu Feng was staying in London. I was aware that this battle was not truly over. Meeting in London, an unresolved mystery. On the day I arrived in London, Lu Feng embraced me silently for a long time. I didn't offer much advice. I simply cooked every day and brought meals to his office. English food is really hard to swallow. I also brought our youngest child with me. In England, hiring a nanny isn't easy, so I took care of the child myself. Every evening, when Lu Feng returned, he would help me bathe the child and read bedtime stories. In those moments, I felt as if we were back to our newlywed days. One day, Lu Feng expressed a desire to eat braised pork. So, I carried our youngest and took a taxi 30 kilometers to a Chinese supermarket. There was no other option. Pork in England has a very strong smell, and eating it feels like chewing on pigtails, while the pork at the Chinese supermarket was slightly better. I was surprised to run into Feng Jian there. Sister, how have you been lately? He said with a bright smile and sharp gaze. I didn't want to beat around the bush and directly asked, who exactly are you? He tilted his head slightly, his thin lips curving up. Me? Just a drifter. I looked him straight in the eye and said slowly, your initial target was actually me, wasn't it? Feng Jian laughed, a profound laugh. In that moment, his youthful, chiseled face under the supermarket lights resembled a dark rose drenched in morning dew, mysterious and irresistibly captivating. That's right, but unfortunately, I'm not appealing enough. You have no interest in me at all. In truth, I wasn't entirely disinterested. During that time, my mind was consumed by the fear of abandonment and divorce, leaving no room for any other thoughts. Did you come to see me on purpose? Yes, I came to say thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. A chance? He smiled, his gaze somewhat distant. This time, I performed well for the family. I won't lack money anymore. I wanted to ask more. But just then, the youngest started crying. It seemed like he had just produced a big gift in his diaper. Huang Qian naturally took the bag from me and led me to the mother and baby room in the supermarket. In the cramped space, as I changed the baby's diaper, I listened to a story. It was a tale of a legitimate wife defeated by a mistress, abandoned by her husband. It was about a woman who left with one of her twin sons, carrying the pain of divorce. It was a story about the injustice of a world where wealth isn't distributed by morality, but by power. Ultimately, the mistress ended up with wealth and glory, while the legitimate wife suffered in poverty and sickness until her death. The twins grew up in different circumstances, one in affluence, the other struggling in hardship. I sensed something unusual. But before I could piece everything together, Huang Qian smiled softly, his deep eyes fixed on me. You know, I really envy your children. They have a strong, intelligent, and perceptive mother like you. If my mother had even half the determination you do, things might have turned out differently. I froze, instinctively looking at him because I had just realized something. Everything seemed to be connecting. The older brother followed the father, raised in privilege, receiving a prestigious education, and became a programming genius, just as Huang Qian portrayed on social media. It's no wonder Jiang Titin, who is so intelligent, didn't notice the loopholes because everything was true. The younger brother followed the mother, wandered everywhere, living a life without a home or support. Only after their mother passed away, and with no way to survive, did he return to his father's family. But by then, there was no longer a place for him there. If he wants to survive, he must prove his worth. That's why he is grateful to me for giving him a chance. I can sense his sincerity. Throughout the entire plan, he worked hard to erase every trace of me. Even if Luke Fong investigates, Huang Qian is merely a shadow of his older brother, while the true mastermind is always in London. As long as my 2 children and I don't admit to anything, there's no transaction, no meeting traces, and theoretically, there can be no evidence to incriminate anyone. Did you know? He chuckled lightly, his voice carrying a slight somberness. Actually, I'm doing this not just for the mission. I detest all those who ruin other people's families. A woman like Jiang Titin, that's the fate she deserves. I was slightly taken aback but calmly asked, "What about her now?" Huang Qian smirked, giving a dry laugh. Her? She's contributing to art. In a few days, there will be a body painting art exhibition at Groucho Club. If you're interested, you could come take a look. I couldn't help but shudder. Groucho Club is one of the most famous private clubs in London, meant for artists, wealthy individuals, and those in power. And a body painting art exhibition. I can only imagine how far Jiang Titin has fallen. I'm unsure if I want to witness that. But one thing is clear. This battle may have ended, but its aftermath will linger for a long time. Oh, that's not necessary. I have to go now. Just as I was about to pack up and leave, Huang Qian stepped closer, his voice familiar. Sister, it's likely we won't see each other again. Could you give me a hug? You smell like my mother. His eyes were clear, innocent, sparkling like a puppy's. I almost nodded, but in that moment, an odd sensation crept into my mind. I glanced at the corner of the room and noticed a tiny red light emanating from an electrical outlet. A hidden camera. I was too familiar with this type. Damn it. I quickly adjusted my demeanor, tightly embraced my youngest child, placing the little one between me and him, then smiled gently. We're just meeting again. After all, today I have my little one with me, so it's not very convenient. He clearly showed disappointment, his tone slightly pleading. Is it really impossible for you to meet this small request? I was unsure of his reaction if he got angry. Therefore, I chose to avoid it, speaking calmly but without any openings. It's really not a good time. The little one isn't feeling well. I need to head home immediately. Maybe next time I can come to your place and make dumplings for you. As I expected, his eyes lit up. Are you serious? When will you come? Let me prepare the ingredients. In 3 days, I'll be at this supermarket again. He happily carried my bags and escorted me to my car. I smiled and waved goodbye, but my heart was racing uncontrollably. Only when the car started moving did I feel a bit of safety. I could assure myself of one thing: I had avoided a trap, but I still didn't understand why he wanted to trap me. Returning home or staying the final choice. As soon as I got home, I immediately booked a flight back to my country. When Luke Fong found out, he was taken aback. So soon? Can't you stay a few more days? A few more days? I didn't have the time to wait. I had to keep him from discovering anything about Huang Qian, so I pretended to be upset, complaining about London's dreary weather, the terrible food, and how I wasn't accustomed to living here. Suddenly, Luke Fong knelt down, wrapped his arms around my waist. His voice devoid of its usual arrogance and filled with a rare vulnerability. I'm sorry, my wife. I've let you endure too much pain. When you saw those photos, you thought thankfully the person in them isn't you. If even one of those is you, I wouldn't be able to bear it. I truly can't live without you. Please, don't go. Men are often like this. They only realize the fragrance of the flower at home when the one outside wilts. But no one stands still waiting for them to return. I took a deep breath, my tone unchanged. You don't need to apologize. I already spoke to your superior. This phase is over, and you can go back to work in your country. If you want, then come with me. Luke Fong pressed his lips tightly, his gaze wavering. I understood. With such pride, how could he accept returning to face the scornful looks of others? After a moment, he softly said, Could you not leave? I will bring both the older kids here. Wouldn't it be better for us to be together in London? I looked at him, my heart growing colder. Even now, he just wanted to evade reality. I had invested so much to protect this family. But what about him? Lu Feng, you still can't face the destruction you've caused. No! I firmly pried Lu Feng's fingers off me and rushed into the house to pack my bags as quickly as possible. I no longer cared about the schemes in this battle. I only knew one thing: if I didn't run right now, something terrible would happen. Everyone has their vulnerabilities. And Fuang Qian is someone who can adapt to any form his target desires. Jiang Titin, ambitious and superficial, he plays the role of a wealthy, charming, and thoughtful young man. I am a mother who only wants to protect her child. He instantly transforms into a pitiful child, cast aside by his family. If today, he had a photo of us together, with Lu Feng's current state of mind, he would definitely go insane. And at that point, not only would his career be ruined, but the unit he works for would also suffer massive losses. I didn't want to become a timeless villain. If I couldn't be touched, I needed to stay away. I dashed out into the street, running frantically towards the airport. It was only when I sat on the Air China flight that I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. This time, I had escaped in time, but I knew this wasn't truly over. Escaping didn't necessarily mean being safe. A mysterious fire upon landing at the airport. I immediately saw a shocking headline on my phone. Fire caused by a gas leak at a residential area in London, many injured. I felt a chill run through my veins. Was it a coincidence? Or was it? I didn't want to think any further, but deep down I knew the answer. When they can't defeat someone psychologically, they will resort to physical destruction. I had left just as the fire broke out, too coincidentally to avoid suspicion. Sure enough, shortly after, I was summoned for questioning. What was the reason for your hasty departure from London? It was just a fight between my husband and me. I got so upset that I returned home. I maintained my stance, determined not to leave any loose ends. For the sake of my children's future, I cannot get caught up in any investigation that leaves traces. In England, the investigation lasted for several weeks. However, in the end, they were unable to find any evidence of a deliberate conspiracy. The case was officially concluded as an accidental incident. Despite everyone knowing that such perfect coincidences do not exist, without evidence, no one is held accountable. The end result is that the case was closed and overlooked. I stared at the phone screen, feeling heavy-hearted. I knew I had escaped, but I also understood that this game was not truly over yet, the total collapse paying the price for everything. 3 months later, Lu Feng returned to the country with a bloodless face and a leg that was no longer intact. In the fire, while trying to escape, a heavy object fell on his leg. The consequence was that his leg became necrotic and had to be amputated. Furthermore, the toxic fumes from the fire severely damaged his lungs, leading to a drastic decline in his health. After the surgery and recovery in England, unable to endure the cold loneliness, he decided to return home for recuperation. I happily admitted him to the nursing home, then used the excuse of needing to care for my young child and mother-in-law, and never returned afterward. He called the children, wanting to see them, but they all made up excuses about being busy with school, promising to visit when they had time. The only one who frequently visited him was not his wife or children, but his colleagues and superior. They came, asked about his well-being, and then casually gossiped about the rumors surrounding Jiang Shiting and several other men. Her list of lovers kept growing. Initially, it included only those he saw in a video. Afterward, many more names were added, both real and fabricated. His colleagues, business partners, superiors, and subordinates. Even the driver and security staff. Everyone discussed it with great enthusiasm, speaking as if they had witnessed it firsthand, making the story even more sensational. Lu Feng lost all his credibility in the field. He had no honor left to start over. He felt completely hopeless and chose to resign, accepting an early retirement. The organization did not treat him unfairly. They acknowledged his contributions, organized a recognition ceremony, and then allowed him to retire with honor. As for me, I have long ceased to be a woman solely focused on him. I once thought I was inferior to Jiang Tiqing because I was just a full-time housewife, while she was an accomplished, educated woman with her own career. But now it is clear who has won and who has lost. I understand that this game has truly come to an end. Every holiday my family travels, but since Lu Feng has difficulty moving, we do not take him along. When visiting relatives, we also do not bring him because some uncles and cousins prefer to avoid him. One year, he insisted on celebrating the new year at home. I quietly sent gifts to the nurses at the care facility, and they managed to convince him to stay, so everything went smoothly. My eldest son, after graduating, did not go into finance. Instead, he entered the tech sector, developing internet products. He said that the lessons on women's psychology taught by Fuang Jian were particularly helpful in creating tech products. He kept his promise to not rely on Lu Feng, yet built a solid career. My second daughter also changed her plans. initially wanting to study abroad. After going through various challenges, she decided to stay in the country, study for another year, and then apply to a prestigious local university. As a result, I felt relieved financially. The youngest child, though still small, cares for me the most. Despite being young, he often sighs and looks up at me, saying, "Everyone is busy now. You need someone by your side. Should I stay at home with you?" Seeing my little boy mature beyond his years, I felt a deep, indescribable emotion. The last time I saw Lu Feng was at my eldest son's engagement party. Although I didn't want to take him, I forced my son to pick him up from the care facility for the family's honor. He struggled to get out of the wheelchair and walked with great difficulty on his prosthetic leg. His eyes filled with gloom and resignation. Standing next to him, I suddenly realized something. Even though the nursing home where he resides has lush mountains, organic food, and a balanced lifestyle, he is still aging rapidly. He looks at least 10 years older than me. I gaze at him and feel neither resentment nor pity. I only feel one thing. Everything he is facing today is the result of his own actions. After the party, Lu Feng gazed at me for a long time before slowly saying, "This house belongs to you. The children are yours too. As for me, I'm just a bystander." I didn't respond, merely smiled lightly. In fact, my children have suggested several times that I get a divorce. However, I think this situation is just fine. I don't have to adjust to a new man. No need to pamper or tolerate anyone anymore. This way seems to be the freedom I have always wanted. As for Huang Qian and Zhang Titin, I have not encountered them again since that time, until 1 year later, someone from a bar approached me. It was the girl who, years ago, had been deceived by Huang Qian with just a glass of water. She no longer wore shorts and a crop top. Instead, her hair was neatly tied back, and she appeared much gentler. She handed me a piece of paper that bore only 4 elegantly written, strong words. "That is not me." I furrowed my brow. What did it mean? Was it saying that the person I met in the London supermarket was not Huang Qian? Did he really have a twin brother? But does that matter? No, I didn't care anymore. With a calm smile, I asked the young woman, "Are you two together now?" She lowered her head, blushing, and nodded slightly. Seems he was right then. Nothing can escape the eyes of Lu's wife. "We happened to pass by here, but he doesn't want to see you anymore. He just asked me to give you this note. Do you want to send any message back?" I smiled lightly and responded indifferently. If someone discovers a spy, everyone has the responsibility to report it. I've already informed the police.